It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. I'm the president of Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. You can find a link to my work at emailrevealer.com, and that's where you can get an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. All different kinds of services on there: adoption investigations, asset searches, locates, email tracing, online infidelity investigations, emailrevealer.com. Don't forget this show is brought to you by getthetea.com. Life Change Tea. Now, this is the stuff. I got to tell you guys, I'm going to tell you the whole story Friday night, but I fell on my bike this week. I've been riding my bike. I fell off the bike. I've been swimming every morning. I'm working out, and I'm feeling so good. It's about 4 weeks now. I'm on this tea, and I tell you, I owe it all to this tea. I'm getting a lot of jobs done. I'm getting a lot of work done too. You get up in the morning, you drink a glass of this tea. You don't need any coffee for the rest of the day. It cleans you out. I'm losing weight. I should have took before and after pictures because I'm doing better than ever before at this stage, this early stage of the summer when I start swimming and riding my bike like that. So getthetea.com, Life Change Tea. Check out the websites, all kind of supplements and fun stuff on there. Getthetea.com. Okay, I think we got a real barn burner of a show for you today. We got John Alite, and the book is called Darkest Hour. John Alite, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. He's also written a previous book called Gotti's Rules. And I know I tried to book him on that. I contacted the author on that. I tried to book him. I never could get him. This Tuesday night, coming up on April 17th, he's going to be on the Reels channel about the life of Gravano and Gotti. John Alite, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, Ed. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm shot out of a cannon because of this tea. I drink this tea every morning. You know?
I have to try it.
No, you really should, because we're the same age. I'm 55 too, you know. It's called Life Change Tea. It really will change your life, man. And especially if you drink a little too much wine or alcohol at the middle of the night, no hangover the next day, you know. Cures the hangover. Good stuff. So, John.
Try it.
Yeah, no, you got it. John, tell us about yourself. Who is John Alite?
Well, I'm a guy that had a little shaded past, obviously, and I'm faith-driven. And I believe I'm out in the real world these days trying to send a positive message to some kids. So I got involved with some anti-bullying and talks at colleges. And I did tour with different police precincts in Hackensack, in Fort Lee, in Toms River, Queens District Attorney's Office. And what I do is go out and I speak to troubled kids, and not only troubled kids, but kids that are on the right track, and make sure that they stay on the right track and they hear the truth of what the streets are about and what I went through. And hopefully, if kids are going in the wrong direction, I help influence them and keep them on the right direction. And I've got involved in advocating for domestic violence victims and feeding the homeless, cancer for kids. And I kind of, donated part of my life now because of the bad past I had, that maybe I can help some kids and people that are suffering and going through some hard times. And I'm hoping that I send a positive message to some of them.
Yeah, you get older, you want to kind of make up, for the stuff you're doing when you're younger. Are you married now?
No, I have 4 children, divorced for years, and very active with my kids. And I have a grandson that was a year old, just turned a year old last month. And enjoying him, really spending a lot of time with him and having a ball with him.
And how about what part of the country you're living in now? Can you say?
Yeah, I'm back in my old neighborhood. I'm in New York City, and I'm in Jersey. I'm back and forth like I always was, and I'm very I'm out, and I'm out and about a lot. People see me all the time. I'm not a guy that's a hidden figure. So I'm out there on a regular basis.
And besides the book and, this Reels thing, how do you make a living now? What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm actually in doing books. I'm doing shows. I'm doing TV appearances, magazine appearances in this country and outside this country. And I guess it resonated to other countries where people are contacting me to do shows documentaries, talk shows, magazines, and films and TV series. So all that now.
Okay. All right. So the book Darkest Hour, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and Gambino crime family. Now, how did this all start?
I guess as a kid, I was brought up around the neighborhood in Queens. I'm from Woodhaven, but the adjacent neighborhoods to me was Ridgewood, Middle Village, Ozone Park, Howard Beach. They were all mob-infested areas. And from every aspect, from my haircutter to my baseball coach, we were all affiliates of Mafia members and families that their father was, Andy Ruggiano was the boss in my neighborhood of the Gambino family. He was a captain, and I grew up with the sons, and they were my baseball coach, and Albert Ruggiano, and went to the gym as a boxer with me. And so I was, just every aspect of my life, from my uncles to my father to my friends and to athleticism. Everybody was involved with the Mafia.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. I grew up in Staten Island around the same time. So I definitely know what you're talking about. Now, how did you get your start in this kind of stuff? What'd you start doing?
Well, I started small, like, most kids. You start nickel diming, collecting money, sending envelopes from a delicatessen I used to work at. And I did favors, and I would run envelopes across the street to the local bookmaker. And his niece was a girlfriend of mine when I was a kid. And so he knew me, and he asked me to do him a favor and just run envelopes over once in a while when people dropped off envelopes for him, and I did that. And the local, his bookmaking runners would use a payphone in the back office of the deli, and they would take the bets, and they'd ask me to run those across. And same thing in the drug business. It was different local drug dealers that would ask me to hold something or pick up money that somebody owed them, and it would be dropping it off. And it started innocently like that, and then it developed into me myself becoming a bookmaker, a drug dealer, and an enforcer. And it was step by step, like anything else. It's you're moving your way up.
And how old were you when you started, like, running the envelopes and stuff like that?
About 14, 15.
14, 15. Now, what about yourself? Were you using, like, pot and drinking and stuff like that yourself?
No, I was pretty athletic. I never smoked pot. I started drinking here and there, I guess, with my friends up in the park. We'd all go up in the park as kids and drink a 6-pack of beer or something. But my friends that I stayed with at that time were, and actually they're still my childhood friends, guys like Michael Jacobs and Timmy and Kevin Jones and Peter Grimm. And some of these guys were, became, they still are legitimate guys that went into the workforce and lived a good life. I made my mistakes and I went the opposite way. But these guys always stayed in touch with me, stood by me, and stand by me now. So it's I was blessed with having some really good friends, childhood friends, through some of the rougher times in my life.
And how about those earlier days, like any kind of like burglaries, car theft, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the book we talk about some of the meter stuff that we did as kids. We stole meters, as young kids. I'm talking about 12, 13 years old. We're stealing parking meters, keeping the change. We're robbing local fireworks guys that were selling fireworks to the neighborhoods and kids. If we found out where they were, we did little store robberies where we were filling up bags of bags that we left in the store that were placed around the store. We'd fill them with clothes and sporting gear. Things really that I thought were, as a kid, innocent in nature, but really it's a development of being more and more daring, which brought me, I think, further into the street and having confidence that I was smart enough to get away with things as a kid. And it developed into a more serious thing as I got older.
Hey, what about like in those days? Did you ever go down to Chinatown and buy fireworks and stuff like that, selling in Queens?
Yeah, the problem is when you're fooling around on the street, and I did all those things. I went to Chinatown. We used to go eat in Chinatown. We make moves in Chinatown. You start meeting other kids that are little half-assed, streety kids, and you start developing friendships with the wrong type of guys, even though you don't realize that's what you're doing. But you're developing a network of street friends where I could buy stolen, property, stolen clothes, and then, go out and sell those. And, I just developed little things. I got involved with another friend of mine, Joe Galliano, that worked as with material that we would sell that material. He worked at a factory. We would take it and sell that also to different people that used and were making and developing clothesline. So, every angle I found that was legitimate, I kind of turned it into an illegitimate thing. And I started to prosper off of some of these things. And I got better at it.
What do you think? Did you have any faith back then? Any kind of Christian faith or religious faith back in those days?
Well, my friends were all Catholic. I grew up in an Irish-German, some Spanish on the borderline, because I grew up in Brooklyn, Queens borderline. They used to New York, Jamaica area. And they were all very Catholic, and they go to St. Thomas Apostle, and they went to St. Thomas Church, and they went to, later on in life, to Malloy High School. And I hung around with these guys, and I'd go to church more as a recreational thing. I wasn't Catholic.
Right.
And I ended up being very friendly, as my friends were, with a priest, the local priest, that took advantage of us. And it was another thing in my life that I learned at the street. There was no trust, and I learned some of the horrible things that happened on the street firsthand by being molested and some of my friends raped by that same priest.
Really? Is that in the book?
Yeah, that's part of the book. It's in the book. It's something that, over the years I talked about to some law enforcement over the years when some of the stuff was going on. And, and I brought it out. And I brought it out most recently because of the work I'm doing with domestic violence and the kids. And I needed to be honest about what happens and to be able to open up so people that have been raped, molested, beat up, bullied, they'll have the confidence to come forward if they see somebody like myself coming forward. And I think it was necessary that I did come forward. And I've did it in a much broader light now.
Do you know whatever became of that priest? Did he ever come to justice? Or?
Well, he got sentenced. At the time, I was looking to hurt him. Possibly in my mindset back then was to hurt him and possibly kill him. Mm-hmm. The friends that I mentioned earlier and some other friends were involved in some of this stuff, and they wanted to hurt him. So they eventually did hurt him, and I wanted to go with them. They wouldn't take me. They told me, no, they're going to handle it, and they ended up beating him up, and nothing, real bad. But I think if they knew if I went, it was going to be a different story, so they went without me, and the priest ends up dying of bone cancer. Mm. So I guess the justice was there in a different way.
Mm. Now, I asked you if you had any faith back then, because did you know right from wrong? Like, did you know what you were doing was wrong?
It's a funny thing. You know what, Ed? That's a great question, because people ask me this all the time. And I did know what right from wrong was. And the problem was, and no excuses, I don't make excuses for my life. You have people that I trusted, whether they were some, like a priest or an adult that was schooling that line for me. I wasn't sure anymore what right and from wrong was. So I started justifying my own line of what right and wrong was by the way I developed and the way I grew up and some of the things I saw that I've seen people think it was okay. So I took some of it and I justified it in my own head. Hey, I'm not hurting anybody personally by robbing the store. So I robbed the store. Hey, I'm not hurting anybody by robbing these parking meters. It actually helps the neighborhood. People actually, some of the neighbors were they were happy that I did it because they didn't have to pay for those meters that were placed in front of their home. So I started understanding what I wanted to understand. And I never lost that idea of, what right or wrong was. I just changed it to satisfy what I needed to be done.
All right. And even you think, well, this guy owes money. If I break his arm, he deserves it because he owes the money,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go on the right path and be somebody like yourself. And, and I was always that good guy that went the wrong way. And I said to myself, this isn't me. I did some bad things and I needed to make them right. And over the years, I've been trying to do that now.
And what about your parents? What were they saying when they saw you going in this direction? Uncles, cousins? Did you have anybody looking out for you and saying, hey, go the right way?
Well, my uncle, my two uncles I grew up in the house with, my Uncle Fred, my Uncle Sam, very good guys. They went to work. They were gamblers as well. So, they understood the street. They were all boxers. My uncle was a boxer in the gloves as a young kid too. And, but they didn't cross the line the way I did. I think they all thought that I could just toe the line like they did, go to work, be a gambler. You could be a half-ass street guy, but not, committing the crimes I end up committing. They weren't those type of guys to baseball bat people and, shoot people. And and kill people. And I just took it to another extreme. And I don't think they realized that I would take it to that extreme. They thought I'd be able to be just like them. And I think I was missing some of that child rearing development things that should have been taught. Or, I just took them in a different direction that they were teaching. And I guess, like I said, I try to justify it. I don't make excuses. I think my family, especially my uncles and my father, I love them all. Very close with my dad now, even though he's ill. So, I think you develop what you want to develop at the end of the day and that's exactly what I did. I chose to take the wrong path.
How about your mom and dad? Do they guide you?
You know what? My father's out, we're Albanian, and we come from a suppressed country, and they came here with no money at a young age. And I think schooling wasn't a priority. It was, go out and make money.
Right.
And the message to me was, it doesn't matter as long as you're not hurting somebody. Go ahead. They didn't care. Like, it wasn't like somebody would say, hey, you're stealing something. What are you doing? Nobody would really say that. And I guess they didn't either, they took a blind eye to it, or they understood, as long as you're not robbing somebody personally. My father's message growing up was be good to your friends, be loyal to your friends. If you have a sandwich and they don't have, give them half. If you have a drink, give them half. Don't rob your friend, but if you're robbing an organization like a department store, you're not hurting anybody personally. Okay, that's okay. So there was a mixed message there.
Yeah, you see that a lot. Like, the parents kind of look the other way because, the kid's bringing in money. He's bringing in money. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He's taking care of himself. They look the other way.
Yeah, I think we didn't have money, so some of the money that I was bringing in, I was helping my family also, and I think that money changes all people. Really, I mean, in the Bible, it's all evil, and I still believe that's an accurate, very accurate account of part of the Bible. And I think sometimes we want to look the other way, and money rules our heart, and it should be the other way. Our heart should rule.
Yeah, social greed seems to be at the root of so many problems in society. Now, when you start getting into the bookmaking and stuff like that, did you have competition? Did you have problems with other guys and cutting in on people's turf and other people's customers and stuff?
Well, I was a small-time bookmaker initially, and then I landed on a guy that we used to call Joe Baseball, and he was a equipment manager for the New York Mets. His real name was DeLuca, and he introduced some of the net ball players to us, and me and Gotti was a partner of mine, senior, and junior had a small end at that time, and Willie Boy Johnson, and I become a pretty big bookmaker at a pretty fast pace. And Willie Boy Johnson became my partner on a 50% half sheet, and he was turned into Gotti Senior with his partner. So I started bringing money in pretty quickly and in big droves because of some of the players I had from the New York Mets.
Gotcha. Now, how did you hook up with Gotti?
Some neighborhood friends. Johnny Gebbett was a local drug dealer that went to school with Gotti's little brother, Frankie, before he was accidentally killed in a car accident. And Gebbett became friendly with Junior Gotti, John, and he brought him up to Jamaica Avenue, where some of our friends were at that point was guys like Kevin Bonner and Michael Jacobs and myself and George Catalano and the Catalano brothers and the DeMeos. And we really didn't take to him. We looked at him as a guy that we thought was just a bratty kid that was coming up to our neighborhood where we didn't come from anything. And he had the father's name. So, we respect him because of that, obviously. We had feared him because of his father. And but nobody liked him, really. And, it just developed from a kid thing into further things, drug business and things like that.
So this is John Gotti Jr. you were friends with?
Well, yeah, we became somewhat a friend. I know that over the years, this is not a little bit of we became best friends, which I wouldn't say that's an accurate account, but yeah, that's the way the media portrays it. He was a guy that I became friendly with. He's a working friend, I guess you could say. People go to work and they have friends at work. And
sure.
Then they go home and they have the childhood friends that I was really friends with that, you can be yourself with and laugh with. And he just happened to become one of my working friends, and close at that, I guess.
And then what was all this business about that you got married on his birthday or something like that? What was that? He was the best man at your wedding, right?
Yeah. He was the best man, Angelo Ruggieri's son, Johnny Ruggieri at the time. He's died since, natural causes. He was also on the certificate. He stood for my ex-wife, actually. He was her best man.
Okay.
So, Gotti asked me to get married on his wedding. He wanted to get married to his wife, his girlfriend then, now his wife, Kim. And so he asked, let's go get married together. And he kind of backed out and said, let's get married why don't you get married on my birthday and I'll get married next. And he came and was the best man at my wedding at Queens Courthouse. And after that, I went to Hawaii. But he was my best man. I was in his wedding. And I was in his sister's wedding party. So I was pretty close with the Gotti family.
Okay. Did they go to Hawaii with you? No.
No.
Okay.
Well, I actually went to Vegas with his sister and her husband and John Gotti Jr. So after me being in that wedding party, we all went to Vegas for their honeymoon. So I was with the family a lot.
Okay. All right, let's take a little commercial break. We're with John Alite. The book is called Darkest Hour. John Alite, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. You can catch him this Tuesday on the 17th, April 17th, on the Reels channel, Life of Gravano and Gotti. It's going to be on the 17th. So check it out. We'll be back with more of John Alite right after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow, shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubashTechnosis.com. You can find a link to Subash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What a bunch of crap! I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Sorry. I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. May the supplement force be with you.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with John Alite. You can check him out at johnalitedarkesthour.com. That's where you can get a copy of his book. It's also on Amazon. We have it in our Opperman Report bookstore as well. John, one of the legends of John Alite is that you had an affair with Victoria Gotti. What can you tell us about that?
You know, I over the years, I've always told people when they ask me that story, you know, I hate to talk about it, but the Gottis were relentless about that and kind of tried to dispel that's accurate or truthful. So, you know, I'm willing to, you know, finally, I'll talk about it. We were kids. She wasn't happily married to her husband, Carmine Agnello, at the time. Prior to them getting married, she approached me after he beat her up. Prior to that, Gotti Sr. ordered Peter Zuccara, Steven Zuccara, Charles Koenig, and Joey DeCavalcanti to give Carmine a beating, which they did. They shot him, beat him. Where they were told not to kill him because of him putting his hands on Victoria. Peter Zuccara testified about that at one of the trials. Later on, Gotti said it wasn't accurate, but it's very accurate. Victoria Gotti approached me after she had a black eye, and Carmine beat her up again, and she pursued me relentlessly, actually. Later on, she would come around to my house at all hours where I live with my parents. She would come to one of my apartments that I had, and we started dating each other on the sneak. You know, obviously, I was worried about it. I was a kid, and I was worried about the father finding out. You know, if he found out, he'd kill me, but she wouldn't listen. She'd pull up at my house at 2 a.m. and there was no explanation I could have why her car would be on my block at 2 o'clock in the morning. And meanwhile, Gotti's brothers, Senior's brothers, Peter and Richie, they'd all come around. Penny, they'd all be by my house at different hours themselves. They'd stop by, whether it's pleasure or business. So if they ever saw that car, they would have just backed out and never told anybody. They would have told Senior, and that would have been the end of me. But she was relentless on putting me in danger. And, you know, we had times where we went to different hotels, Haven Hotel. I refused to. She was pushing the affair, and I was kind of pushing back. I didn't want it. And we went to Q Motor Inn and different hotels that I guess at this point I've said, you know, I'm willing to go on a show with them since they talk about lie detector tests. You're an ex-detective. You know how those work. And, you know, I've never been boisterous about it. I was trying to be a gentleman. We were kids, and I didn't want to bring this out. But since the family's relentless on this stuff, I'm more than willing anytime anybody wanted to ask. And I'd give them a load of questions they can ask. And cards she sent me, love cards, and trinkets of a heart where she cut it in half, and she kept one part of the heart, and I kept the other. So, you know, we were young kids, and I moved on in life, like I always try to say. I just don't, you know, but also my reputation of being truthful at this time, because they keep talking about it. And I guess I'm just at about what's end of it. So I'll discuss it today that I never discussed with anybody else before.
So you're saying that you still have in your possession letters from her and a cut in half heart? How do we know it's from her?
No, I don't have it in possession. That's what she gave me.
That's what she gave.
Yeah, and yeah, she gave me, and what I'm saying is because they talk about lie detector tests, and things like that, and I'm saying I would be willing to take it with them and with her or anybody on any kind of show. I've said this before, and I would do it in some of the accounts of just what I've said. We were at we went to the Q Motor Inn, and we went to the Haven Motel on Woodhaven Boulevard. And I refused to have further relationship in those hotels with them, but we did go to them. And also at my house, my mom's house. So these are some of the things that, you know, we were seeing each other, and she wasn't happy. She wanted to back out of the marriage at the time, but I was so close with her at the time that she even asked her father to ask me to be in the wedding party, which I was. And I was also at a honeymoon, and I was also the guy that went with her to pick up a wedding dress in Brooklyn. So, you know, some of these things that, you know, because of the unwillingness of them to stop attacking me, I'm finally going to talk about it a little bit with you right here. Otherwise, usually I just say the same. We were kids at the time, and I'd like to leave it there. And, you know, usually I do the talking about the Mafia and John Gotti Sr. and Jr. not about personal matters. I think it's wrong, but they seem not to want to let it go. So I guess I have no choice but to talk about it.
Okay, so the breaking news here today is that you are willing to take a polygraph.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Now, what about those kids you see on Growing Up Gotti, those young boys? Is any possibility that they could be yours? Or any dates you ever do the math on that?
No, they're not my kids. I actually said I never had intercourse with her.
Oh, really?
And,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, she wanted to, I said, and I refused it. And I refused it for a lot of different reasons. I said I didn't have protection at one time. I made different excuses because of it. And that's why I said I would be willing to, polygraph any of that. And did we have a relationship and other, types of, things going on? Yes. I'm just more so trying to be a gentleman here with this kind of, with these kind of talks, because again, we were in our 20s and life moves on and they do have kids, and I'm not trying to embarrass anybody, but I think they're trying to embarrass me. So at this point, I need to say something back about it.
Well, what's ever become of those kids that were on Growing Up Gotti? Do you know? By the way, their names weren't even Gotti. Their name's like Nello. But I guess they.
They changed. The funny thing with the Gotti family is they exploit John Gotti Sr. Whether you like him or dislike him, they exploit that name. They hardly knew the grandfather, the kids. The kids themselves, Victoria Angel and John Gotti Jr., they blame them for their lifestyle, but yet they exploit the name. I think they learned one thing from the father: to get media attention, they have to make media news, and they don't have a moral compass, I guess. And they just they'll do anything to be in front of the camera and the media. In a negative way, it doesn't matter to them. They just want to be in the media to feel, I guess, relevant, because they don't have any kind of relevancy anymore. And I guess this is the only way they can get it.
But those grandkids, I saw a couple of times, they did run into some problems. They had some kind of tanning business that was having trouble, and then some marijuana arrests. Do you know what ever became of those kids?
Well, I heard the same thing. They have some, again, some of the kids, like the nephew was arrested for drug dealing out of the grandfather's house, John Gotti Sr.'s house. He was very boisterous during my case and his uncle's case, John Gotti Jr.'s. And I don't blame the kids. I think they're taught this by the adults in their family. And they spew such nonsense about being a tough guy and about dying in jails and bleeding out of the mouth. And then when this young kid gets locked up, he started, in my opinion, cooperating. If you don't catch 3 separate felonies and only get 8 to 10 years when they catch on dead to right on tapes. And so, and he put himself in protective custody, and he was crying that he was a drug issue, he had a drug problem. And he's sorry for being a drug dealer, but it was a drug issue. So his whole rhetoric changed. And again, it's not I don't blame the boy. I believe the family are teaching these kids the wrong thing. Instead of saying, hey, don't talk like that, talk like a gentleman, don't speak about, things like this, don't call guys out on the carpet when you yourself are in the prison system crying and not capable of handling it. So your rhetoric completely changed when those cuffs were on you. And really, that's the message, not just to his kids or his nephews or to my kids. And my older son had an issue with law enforcement. So it's to all the kids, that it's the wrong way to live. Let's try to pass the right message to them all. And hopefully we can get into 1 or 2 kids' ears, and hopefully those kids can straighten their life and maybe help another kid and so on. But a positive message, not a negative one. And hopefully, as adults, we learn to send the right message. I mean, you see what's going on with bullying and kids killing themselves. And so I think the message needs to be a stronger message to the young community anyway.
Even with fast money and stuff like that, and you call it easy money, and it's really not easy work. Organized crime is not easy work. It's 24 hours a day. It's hard work. But you make a lot of money. You really can't enjoy it. You can't spend it right. You can't associate with the right people. It's limited. It limits you in life, this kind of activity in every way. Now, but you got into some, by the way, when Junior started coming around, hanging around with your guys, how was he making a living at that time as a young man when you first met him?
Drugs. I mean, it's almost laughable to say. I have these conversations, when a girl's a prostitute and stays with other prostitutes, she's most likely a prostitute.
Right.
If you go into a strip club and the girl's stripping and the rest of the girls are stripping, I guess you're a stripper. So, we're gangsters and we're drug dealers. And, all of us are drug dealers. And to say that one wasn't and the rest of us are, just you're insulting an intelligent person's mentality. And he was a drug dealer, no different than his father was and the rest of us were. And we don't live a conducive life to society. And we got to take responsibility at one point in our lives and shoulder it and say, we made some serious mistakes. Like you said, you don't want to get to enjoy that money. Yeah, it's fast money, it's good money, but there's a lot of downfall to that and repercussions from that money that you never really honestly enjoy it.
And what kind of drugs was he selling? Coke?
We were selling cocaine. He originally started in the marijuana business with Johnny Gevitt up in Forest Park. And later on, Gevitt gets convicted of a rape charge. And, that's Junior's friend. And, so that's the one guy. And then he gets involved in getting a percentage of marijuana and dust at another location in Victory Field in Woodhaven. So he gets in the angel dust business, and then he gets in the pill business with Black Beauties back then and cocaine with us. And he gets an end of that. And then we got into the heroin business through Angelo Ruggiero and his father. So that was through a guy that we had that was working at Rikers Island. So we had the gamut of drugs, and there is no denying that. And I guess he's trying, over the years to completely disassociate himself from that. He was arrested with a construction partner, his Vinny Zolo, and with charged with cocaine and a robbery and dealing. And Vinny Zolo took the weight for him for that, which is a la Gotti, as far as somebody else taking the blame for them and them stepping back. But that being said, that we were in the drug business. There's no denying that. All of us were.
So you were smuggling heroin into Rikers Island?
Into Rikers Island, big business. I mean, I don't know if you follow the papers here in New York. I know you're out in Vegas, but just recently they talked about how many guns were in. There's about 25,000 inmates in Rikers Island. So they're behind those cages, and they're not bringing in the guns. So who's bringing it into them? There's guns found in there. The violence is rampant there. One of the guards just got hurt real bad there. So, this is an eternal problem. There's just too many inmates in a location where, one or two bad, corrupt guards will cause, I guess, the drugs to get in, the guns to get in, and the violence to be accepted in there. So things need to be changed. They're talking about closing down the prison and opening up several smaller ones where it can be controlled a little better. And I think that's a good idea. And drug business is just as rampant on the streets as it is inside.
Yeah, Rikers is a nightmare. Rikers is a nightmare for anybody.
Have you ever been there? Yeah. It's just not a controllable economy because I believe the size of it is just too many people coming in and out that it's just too hard for anybody to control. I don't blame it on the warden or anybody else that's running that facility. I just think it's just too large a facility to be able to control it properly.
And when you see on the movies and on TV and stuff like that, they show like visitors sneaking in drugs. Really, it's the guards that are bringing in these drugs and the guns and the weapons and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you got some inmates that know that they're coming to jail. They'll swallow a balloon before they come in. And when they go to the bathroom or the shower, they remove it. So, that's one way, but that's just a limited amount. And it's not the basis of, right, especially some of the guns and weapons. It's from staff, whether it's guards or other staff that work within the facility. That's 9/10 of the way it's coming in.
Yeah, and cell phones. Forget it. There's cell phones at every prison right now. No.
Yeah, I mean, these are difficult things to stop. Yeah. So many cell phones, pen phones now, pen knives, pen guns. I mean, it's very difficult, really, to stop these things.
Now, how because you ultimately, you were responsible for like 15 murders and another 37 or 40 shootings. How did all that come about? That kind of in-depth kind of a crime? Well,
it starts off like anything else. I'm in the crime business, right? So it's like anything else. Every day I'm going to work. I'm told to go baseball bat this guy, shoot this guy, stab this guy, kill this guy. organize the killing of that guy. And that was my job, 24/7 for the Gotti family, especially. They used me for being an aggressive, violent guy. And I took, and the lack of words back then, I know it's a bad word to use, and I've used it in the past. I took pride in what I was doing at the time. And, I wanted to be good at just the way I was raised in this book, Darkest Hour. I'm raised to be aggressive and not to be a quitter and to be the best at what I do. And that was my aim, to be the best at what I did. I had a big crew, and this is what we did. And I carried out what I thought was my job from Gotti Sr. on its way down, whether it was through Pete Gotti or through Junior, sometimes the messages. I took care of what I was asked to take care of.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of these violent activities weren't under order. Some of these were your own, for your own personal needs and your own personal interests, correct?
Oh, without a doubt. People will say, well, this guy's acting like everything came from the Gottis. Not at all. Right. I mean, the Gottis weren't friendly with the Burks at all. When Frankie Burke asked me to go on something for him, for Jimmy Burke from jail, and we ended up killing 2 guys, and that was my understanding at the time. They owed Jimmy money from drugs from years earlier. And so some of this stuff, yes, some of it is, when you're aggressive on the street, and some of your guys are having issues on the street, and I had, a ton of guys. I probably had, between the direct guys, associate guys around my guys, a couple hundred guys. And we're in the drug industry. So anytime somebody's affected within my crew of guys and all the crew outside of my guys that were around, people around me, I had to do something about it. And, some of that stuff, I did do. Some of it I did. And then after I suffered the repercussions from Gotti Sr. without getting permission to do it first. But all said and done, most of that work, I'd say three quarters of it were for the Gotti family or the Gambino family. But, of course, some of it was, my own stuff and my own doing and things like that, yes.
So now, when you were doing jobs for Gotti Sr. or Gotti Jr. or the family, did you get a bonus, extra pay, or any kind of extra of a consideration?
Nah, it's like 401k. I got to laugh because, what's funny? People tell me all the time, well, how much did you get paid for that? Yeah. It doesn't work like that. Maybe if they outsourced it, kind of like what they did with the Westies, because I hear a lot of that too. Well, you're not Italian. How could you not be? And I laugh at that's naive public that doesn't know any better. Westies Irish gang that they were killing machines and very aggressive and big time, known to be a hit team of guys that outside the Mafia, Italian Mafia would use. You get guys like Lepke or Bugsy Siegel or Joe Watts or Jimmy Burke. None of these guys are Italian, and people have this belief that everybody around is Italian and they don't have any say. That's not true. With those guys, if you're aggressive, you're a money maker, you're respected and people are listening to you. Whether you're a made guy or you're not a made guy, you're treated as the position of your authority by how powerful you are on the street. And, there's no menacing words here. That I was very powerful because of the crew size I had and because of the money I made and how violent we were.
Mm-hmm. All right, good time to take a break. We're here with John Alite. The book is Darkest Hour, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. Check him out on Tuesday, April 17th on the Reels channel, Life of Gravano and Gotti. Hey, John, what time is that? Do you know when it's going to be? What time?
Yeah, that's 9 o'clock on Tuesday.
Yeah, 9 p.m. So check that out. You can see, and they got you. They did have footage of you, video of you.
Yeah. There's footage of an interview. There's some pictures.
Yeah, so good. You get to see what John Alite looks like. Put a picture to the face, a face to the voice. We'll be right back after these messages with more of John Alite. Fascinating stuff, man. And now a word from our sponsors. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow, shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubashTechnosis.com. You can find a link to Subash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also AwakeRadio.us. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with John Alite. Fascinating stuff, man. Darkest Hour. John Alite, former enforcer, Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. Now, John, when you're doing these murders, you're doing these murders and stuff like that, were you ever worried about the cops and getting caught? Like maybe you left fingerprints behind or someone saw you do it?
No, it's like anything else. You get good at what you're doing. You take, you set these things up prior to going. It's not like something that you're just winging at the time. You're setting it up prior. You're learning this business like any other business, for lack of words, even though it sounds cold. It's part of what we're doing on the street. So you're accustomed to taking precautions if the police happen to come on a scene. And we have blocked cars, and we have clean guns, and we have different outfits to cover up what we're doing, and escape routes and plans to prior to anything that we're doing. So it's you're holding down the percentage of anything going wrong, and if they do go wrong, we also have a plan for that. So it's a business like anything, and it's run like a business, the Mafia, and we conducted ourselves as that.
Did you have any small arrests before the big one?
Yeah, I've been arrested dozens of times, actually, from California, 1983, 84, to Florida, and in Tampa several times for some of the nonsense things, to disorderly and assaults and things like that. So I was in and out. I was used to being locked up. I was used to being in dozens of different prisons throughout New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, Florida, and California, for the most part, and later on in Brazil. So I had to, I've seen the inside of most prisons and in all these areas within all these cities. So I was accustomed to it. It was just something as another routine of part of the life. And it's some of the things that I try to bring forward to what you said earlier. And I don't want it to get lost. You made a very valid point that kids don't realize. When you're on the street, every time that door knocks, you're worried about the police coming to arrest you from something that you did, whether it was last week or 4 years ago. And every time you get a knock on the door, you're worried about somebody that's your enemy coming to kill you, or when you're parking your car, or when you're sleeping, you hear a noise. So the benefits of that life are some of these things that you got to suffer through, and the anxiety that comes with it that the kids don't see. And, if you run into the wrong guy, you're going to get killed. And if you run into the intelligent police officer, you're going to go back to jail. And they could be prison for weeks, or it could be years, or it could be a lifetime. So there is no benefit from the street. And I always say the same thing when I'm on a different show. They don't get to read the small print. It's just not worth your life to live in the street.
It almost seems like when the big bust comes where okay, it's over, it's almost like a relief.
Yeah, it's inevitable, and it is almost like a relief because you don't realize what you're living on until you actually face the music. And it happened to me, and it happens to a lot of people. And when that day comes, it's a serious wake-up call. And you find out about the disloyalty of the street that really exists. And you find out about the financial end of family and friends that aren't around anymore that were supposedly close to you. And you find out about the treachery of the people that were informing on you. Mm-hmm. And, these are the facts of life that, I've talked about Gotti Jr. and his cooperation way before I even contemplated testifying against him. I mean, it was 5 or 6 years earlier. He was already working with the government and cooperating. And these are, and I let these things go from the past, but I bring it up and I need to be said so kids understand there is no such thing as loyalty. It's just treachery in the street. And go to work, go to school, and do something proper with your life is really the constant message.
Right. Let's clarify that, because there is this thing where a lot of guys, big names, like you said, Gotti Jr., big names, like the FBI will come around, pick them up at their house, and drive around with them in the car, and they have like a free talk where they're ranting out their enemies, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this is something that even now he's trying to change history somehow, and I just don't understand what he's trying to do, because he admitted to ratting, cooperating, whatever word we want to use, that he was talking to law enforcement. He admitted to it. His lawyers filed papers saying his life was in danger from the Mafia because of his cooperation. In 2006, they filed those papers. He admits he was chased out of the mob and quit. Well, his words was quit, and what we call shelved and chased out of the Mafia. And he hasn't been relevant in the Mafia world in 20 years, but yet he's trying to spin that in the media. I guess not the street guys. The street knows, the Mafia knows. I think he's trying to somehow convince the public that don't know any better about how this works, that he wasn't a rat or a cooperator. And you're ex-law enforcement. You understand, what he did. And, we put the documents out. And who knows what he's saying in these cars? I mean, he did his own YouTube saying he had weak moments and he cooperated. But there's no such thing. If you're in the mob world, that's a death sentence. So the kids really need to understand this, because he's not the only one that's done it. There's a list and a litany of guys through the mob world that cooperated, from mob bosses to underbosses to concierge to informants like Greg Scarpa and guys like that came forward and were cooperating. And my message to all these guys, maybe they found the light, and maybe they, I don't care what they did in the past, if they've sent a positive message now, because I'm out of that world. But the kids that are contemplating going into the street, this is they need to go do some homework in history and see how many mob guys, Italian Mafia, to start with, if that's what they're interested in, cooperated, were rats on the sneak, or just straight out came forward and started cooperating against the rest of the Mafia world. So I think if kids get the understanding of really what goes on, maybe they'll take 2 steps back instead of 1 step forward into that life.
Before we take a break, I just want to clarify one thing. I was never a cop. I've always been a defense investigator. So I was never actually a cop. Oh, yeah, not me. I'm on the other side.
But you're very familiar.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar.
With the criminal world.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to be taking a break in a minute. So why don't we do this? Because we're going to do another hour, because this is really good stuff. Tell people how they can find you. Do you have like a website? Where can people contact you if they want to talk to you?
Yep, I will.
Right now.
So you can contact me on JohnElite.com. You can also contact me through my lawyer agent, which is Conception Sports, Douglas Anton. You can also contact me through my emails, which is johnlucas.ja@gmail.com. And I'm available for private one-on-one talks, internet talks, anti-bullying consultations. I have a site, that is also for anti-bullying, and you can contact me through that, and you can also contact me through Lou Romano, who's also an author and writer of several books. So there's tons of ways to reach me, and I'm always available. And I will make the time, especially for a parent or a kid that's in trouble, involved in anything from domestic violence to helping feeding the homeless to anybody that's sick, and any kind of fundraiser. I'm willing to come forward and give some time to.
Excellent. So we'll be back with more of John Alite, A Darkest Hour. John Alite, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. Check him out on the Reels channel, 9 p.m. Tuesday, April 17th. It's all about Gravano. We didn't talk about Gravano at all. We got to get into that in the next hour.
Yeah, and by the way, it's the Alite Family Foundation is the anti-bullying site. Just to clarify that, I didn't say Alite Family.
Alite Family anti-bullying site.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We'll be right back with more of John Alite. And now a word from our sponsors.
Hi, folks. Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Get the Tea, your best defense.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subash Technosis by email at info@subashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow. Shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find my work at emailrevealer.com. I'm the president of Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting. Get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator, at emailrevealer.com. All kinds of services, adoption investigations, locates, background reports, online infidelity investigations. If you think your spouse is cheating on you, give us their email address. We trace it back to online dating websites. Catch them cheating online. This show is brought to you by GetTheTea.com. Life change tea. I'm telling you guys, I'm feeling so good. I even fell off my bike. I was riding my bike on Saturday. I fell off my bike. I bruised a little muscle in my pectoral muscle here, and I got a bruise on my hip, and I hit the back of my head. Okay, but still, I drink this tea in the morning. I got all this energy. I'm out there swimming every day. I'm out there hiking out here in the Nevada desert. GetTheTea.com, and check out the website too, because it's not just the life change tea. They have all kinds of supplements and all kinds of herbal remedies for whatever ails you. Okay, listen, we've been talking to John Alite, who's a former Gambino crime family member. His book is Darkest Hour, John Alite, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. He's got another book called Gotti's Rules. Then you can find him on Tuesday night, 9 p.m., April 17th. He's going to be on the Reels channel, The Life of Gravano and Gotti. John, we didn't talk. First, in the last show, we were talking about how you said, well, we had these block cars and we had all these setups, these assassinations. They were well planned out. Were you involved in the Castellano assassination?
No, I wasn't involved, and I had knowledge of it prior, but I wasn't one of the guys on the team to do that, no.
Okay, and has everybody who was on that team, have they all been identified publicly?
No, not really. There's been rumors and conjectures of who was there and who wasn't and who were the shooters, and they had different people that came forward and gave statements. I know Sammy obviously came in and spoke to the government after the hitting of Castellano, and I guess he gave the actual shooters and the names of who was involved at that time.
And what about you and Gravano? What was your connection to him?
Sammy was somebody that obviously that I saw frequently at the clubs, at the Ravenite, at the Bergen, and I had a hello goodbye relationship with him. Basically, I was warned from Gotti Senior at the time that he didn't want me being friendly with him. Actually, I seen him at a wake in Brooklyn, and I was having a small conversation with him, and Gotti Senior called me over, and he didn't want me close to him. At that time, I didn't understand why. And then I understood later on, if Gotti Senior had on his mind to kill Sammy, he didn't want me close to him. He wanted me to be able to pull that trigger without being friendly with the guy and trusting him. So that's part of the treachery of that life. And me and Sammy talk about it now. Obviously we talk to each other, and one of those discussions is the jealousy and the envy of Gotti Senior was obviously intimidated by Sammy Gravano, jealous of him, envious of him. And these are the things that happen in that life where it's supposed to be his confidant and his right-hand man, Sammy, yet he doesn't trust him. And he's got in the back of his mind that maybe he's going to kill Sammy for no apparent reason. And I think when Gotti gets caught on those tapes, not that I think, I know as a fact, Gotti's talking, for the people that don't know, about past murders, which in our life, that's a death sentence to even do that, to even bring it up. And he brought these conversations up to Frankie Locascio, who was the concierge at the family at the time, and really getting a pulse on Frankie's wrist if we should kill Sammy. And Frankie was very quiet. It was a quiet guy also, kind of like Sammy. They were both, if you're going to look at perfect gangsters, these guys were perfect gangsters. They were earners. They were tough guys. Sammy was a killer, loyal to the boss. Yet, Senior's he was talking about him to Frankie, basically sounding like a weak boss, sounding like he can't control Sammy. He's intimidated Sammy. He's afraid of Sammy. At the same turn, he's blaming all the murders on Sammy, and the construction industry he's blaming on Sammy that he's not sharing the wealth, which these things are unfounded, not true. And by the time Sammy catches wind of these conversations, he's in handcuffs, facing a life sentence for what John Gotti Sr. did to him. So, I ask the public, and when I'm talking to people that are outside of the life like yourself, you got to say to yourself, if you're in Sammy's shoes, you were a quiet gangster, you were a tough guy, you were an earner, you were loyal to your boss, whether you respected him or not, you were loyal to him. And you hear these conversations, and now you're going to get life or face possibly the death penalty. What would you do? So, to me, I've been an advocate for Sammy, although I wasn't close to him on the street. I respected him. I knew him. I thought he, in my opinion, I still think he was a perfect gangster. If you're going to talk about a perfect gangster, and I think he was one of them. I think John was the downfall of the Mafia, and his need for attention, his need for the media, and his excessiveness of being jealous and envious of others is the downfall. So I think these are some of the things that need to be brought out in history for kids to really understand what this life's about.
So you're still in touch with Sam Gravano now?
Yes.
Well, he's in prison though now, right?
No, he's great. He's out. He's been out now a couple of months now.
Oh, really? Okay, that hardly made the news. I guess with all this 24-hour Trump news all the time, there's no room for anything else going on. So he's out now. He's out for good then, right?
Yeah, he's out. He's moving his life forward, and he's away from, obviously away from the street, and spending time with his family and just enjoying his life, I guess, as the best as he can at this point, and trying to recover what he lost in time with his family.
And so how old is he now? Must be like 70s, right?
Yeah, he's I believe he's 71 now.
Oh, okay, now, in your time back in the 80s and the 90s, were you aware of Trump and involvement with the organized crime and construction deals and stuff like that?
Well, President Trump, I hate to even say it disrespectful.
Yeah.
He was a major builder in New Jersey and in New York. And I guess somewhere along the line, you're involved in building, you're involved with us somewhere. I didn't have direct involvement with him. I really wasn't in the construction industry. So I'm not sure what his extent of being involved, or if he had knowledge he was even involved, because he has people running those projects for him. So I'm not sure how much he was really aware of who was involved in building these structures. But somewhere, I would assume that somebody was involved.
And also, too, I just had AJ Benz on the show last week, right? And he used to talk to Trump every day back in those days. And we were talking about Trump and his walking around guys. Like now he uses now he has the Secret Service, but before he became president, he had all NYPD guys, right? But back in the 80s and 90s, his walking around guys were, do you know anything about that?
No, my personal opinion of President Trump is I like him. Okay. I think he's not a politician. And I know you get flack on both sides, but the reason why I like him is he's not a politician. What he says out of his mouth is unfiltered, and it's real. Whether you like him or not, at least it's real because of the way he speaks. So, for me, I think he's a dynamite for this country for now. It's a change, and I think it's in a direction that I know a lot of people say, well, he was voted in. So he was voted in by the majority, and so I think he's got to be respected as a leader, like any country respects their leader.
Let me ask a question. Politically, are you in favor of the death penalty?
No.
No, okay, that's unusual, because usually when I talk to career criminal guys, it always shocks me. They're so right wing, and they're and they're tough on crime, in some way, like Chuck Zito from the Hells Angels, oh yeah, the death penalty, I'm all for it. And he's talking about arresting people for carrying guns and stuff, Meanwhile, it's just.
Well, you know what? Listen, yeah. The Angels, Chuck, I know his predecessor after him was a good friend of mine, Gregory Hines. I used to call him Pep. In my neighborhood, we call him Pepsi. He just passed away. So my condolences to his family. I was very friendly with. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think, in Chuck's case or other guys' case, as you get older, as you mature, I think your views change. And, just like myself, I think Chuck has a lot of regrets in his past. But also, I know Chuck has a good reputation of being a gentleman and a well-spoken man, carries himself well, and he's well-liked. So, sometimes we look at things as a kid and we say, I wish I could take back 3/4 of what happened in my life, but the past is there. And you can only use it for from a learning curve and hopefully change those things I did in the past. Because I'm still the same guy. I still have the same temperament. I just react different. And, people are always trying to get a reaction out of me, and they try to play off your ego and see if they can get you to react because, people want, misery likes company. They want to say that this guy is no different than he's ever been. But, I have a track record of years of following suit of what I'm doing. Chuck has a lot more years than I do under his belt is doing the right thing. So I think that, instead of me, I think I have a little more compassion towards the way people feel now. And I don't have old animosity against Gotti, believe it or not. I don't particularly like his personality. I don't like what he carries and what he tries to project to kids. But on the other hand, if he changed and he moved forward and he got rid of the arrogance, the ego, and this glorifying of the mafia when he was a cooperator, and the only other word I know is a rat, and comes forward and talks like a gentleman so kids can understand the life. I mean, you could do a lot good instead of doing the negative, and he just chooses to stay on the negative. So I think that's my take on him.
What can you tell us about what went down at Scores?
Scores is Michael Blutrick, the owner of Scores. He's a gay guy that was an attorney, that was a law partner, I believe, with Governor Cuomo at one time. And, again, Governor Cuomo, as far as I see, I like him. I think he's a good leader. But how does he know what someone else is doing? And Michael Blutrick got involved with a rabbi, and they did a huge insurance scam. Michael Blutrick came forward and helped the government to recover that money, and everybody recovered their fund, from what I understand. And he went to jail for 15 years, and Gotti was involved with him in his strip club, whatever was going on there. There was some prostitution, whether they knew about it or didn't. There was prostitution going on. So with a club out of Atlanta, Georgia, and that was also another strip club that Gotti was involved with, and prostitution, and there was arrests. All later on, Michael Blutrick cooperates and gives up Gotti, and Gotti takes a plea on that case and admits to being involved with Scores. And he now is on the tear of calling Michael Blutrick a pedophile publicly. And he knew that I know Michael Blutrick for a lot of years. Michael Blutrick is a very intelligent man. He did a 60-minute segment. He wrote a book, Scores. He's a gentleman, and he's gay. And this is 2018, and there is no crime of being gay, and there's no reason to be embarrassed to be gay. And I think the Gottis are trying to embarrass, belittle a guy that ended up turning his life around and is on the right track again. And they're trying to get even with the man that testified and gave information against Gotti. That Gotti did, I think, a 4 or 5 year prison stint for the involvement in Scores and some of the things I just mentioned. And I just don't know. They seem to attach him to me, and they put him on my Google, and they call him a pedophile, which is completely a lie. And it's the things that are said by the Gottis that they try to use the media to hurt people and control the rhetoric. But I think he does it because he learned certain things from his father, how to change the storyline of his cooperation. He's a cooperator, no different than Michael Blutrick or any other guy who might come in later on. Just not against him. This is a cooperator. And I don't have any qualms of what I've done in the chosen path I took. I don't think Michael Blutrick does. But I think Gotti Jr. has a definite problem looking at himself in the mirror. And I think his insecurity is the cause of the actions that he commits and continues to commit. I really don't know what else to say past that about Michael Blutrick.
Yeah, I had Michael Blutrick on the show. Yeah, Michael Blutrick was on my... Oh, yeah. I liked him, too. I had him on the show. I read his book. The book is excellent. I got to tell you that. It's an excellent book. Oh, you read the book? Yeah, it's great, right? And I had him on the show. But you want to know what? I've also had other people, too, that I don't think are connected to Gotti that made the same kind of allegations about Blutrick showing up with young teenage boys at Scores and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I can't. Yeah.
I can tell you this. Does he like young guys? Yeah, young illegal guys. Just like men like younger women, but legal.
Yeah.
He's not the inference of him being a pedophile, like he's fooling around with 6-year-old and 7-year-old little boys, is completely unfounded. There was an FBI agent, I believe, that was ahead of that case that did a 60-minute segment that also says this, that it's not true. So, if it was true, he would have been charged with it and he would have did time for it, and that's not the case. And if it is true, and since the Gottis want to say that or reference that it is true, why would you get involved with a guy then that owned this club if you thought he was a pedophile? So, you can't have it both ways, because Gotti did the same thing with Johnny Gebbett, who was his drug partner and a convicted rapist. He was his friend. And in court, he says he tried to save the guy's life. So either you're his partner and trying to save his life, or you ordered the hit. Which side do you want? But you can't play the middle on both sides. And that's Gottis. They change their storyline on a regular basis. And people that who don't have knowledge of the subject, they don't understand, and they just follow what they're reading. And the Gottis obviously put time and effort into the media.
What do you know about the story about the shooting of Curtis Lewa?
Curtis Lewa was, I just did a show with Curtis Lewa. I did one with him a couple of years back also with Geraldo. And, I like Curtis. He's another guy I like. He's outspoken. And I happen to like him because of that. I think he's definitely a tough guy. He's not a street guy. He was a guardian angel. And when they try to hurt him in that taxi and they locked him in because of the comments he was making on his radio show about Gotti Sr., Jr., I don't think he did it. And then this is my opinion, because we met and we discussed hitting Curtis Lewa. Me, Mikey Scarsdale, Leonardo, who John Gotti Jr. claims was his right-hand man, and also a cooperating witness for the Mafia. We discussed hitting Curtis Lewa, and me and Michael Leonardo said no. He's a media guy. It has nothing to do with the mob world, and we don't want to do it. I think Junior's reason to do it was, again, he's not going to be there. He's going to be home sleeping somewhere. He's asking guys to do it, and he's doing it in a media fashion like his father wanted to do Paul Castellano, for the attention. He just wanted the media attention, and he needed it, and he needs the media to make himself feel important and good. And I think really that was the basis, not that this guy's talking about his father. Because if that's the case, you have Johnson that's in prison with his father at Marriott, who beat his father half to death in jail, and Gotti Jr. does nothing in retaliation of that. So if you weigh the two, one guy just talking about an individual who's a prominent radio host, and you have a guy that physically hurts your father, and you did nothing. So again, I think it was a coward move, and I was totally against it. I denied it. I didn't go. Pablo Guzman covered that case originally, and they said they thought I had something to do with it. I happened to be in Florida at the time. They put me in the paper as if it was me, and it wasn't.
The Sliwa shooting.
And I was clear. Yeah, the Sliwa shooting. They thought that I was identified as one of the guys being there. I believe my picture and my name in the paper came up that it was me. And I just was totally against it, and I denied having anything to do with it at the time when Gotti asked me to.
Well, then, who was behind it then? Gotti was behind it?
Yeah, Gotti was behind it. He got acquitted of those charges. The usual Gotti fashion. He attacks the media to attack whoever is testifying. And he tried to belittle Curtis in every which way he could, called him a liar. And some of the guys that were involved, one of them became a cooperating witness later on. And he adamantly despises Gotti also. I mean, the problem with Gotti is, through this street world, and guys from the street know he was never known as a legitimate street guy. And no matter what he does, he's never going to get the respect from any of us. None of us respected him back then. We don't respect him now. And I don't think he can live with that. I think that's where his jealousy and envious comes, and insecurities. I talk about strong men stay with strong people. They don't stay with weak people. Gotti likes to stay, Junior, still stays with very, very bottom of barrel weak guys that call him boss still and hang around him. These are not street guys anymore. Nobody will stay with him, but he stays with these low-level, weak men. And then, I use that word men with them loosely. You would stay with guys that are strong-minded, legitimate, men you can have conversations with and as an adult and move forward in your life. He chooses not to do that. He chooses to stay with yes people that he could control, including an attorney that he was very friendly with, Forcina. And he just uses these guys like a scrap because of his financial situation. He's able to. When a guy like that, I think, looks in the mirror, he sees what he sees and he doesn't like it. So his life is going to be donated to picking on guys like Michael Blutrick for the rest of his life.
And do you know how he earns? How does Gotti Jr. earn a living today?
Excuse me?
How does he earn a living today?
That's a good question. This is a guy that claims that he doesn't have anything on that was money from. But he seems to be making a very handsome living, and few attorneys that were friendly with him, a guy named Tony and another guy, Forcina, as I think is his front guys and some of the things that he's doing. These guys are, again, they're not really attorneys per se. They're legally attorneys, but he uses them to, he's got a guy that's suing me now. He uses Forcina. He brings them to him. He brought Forcina to my brother to try to get my brother to sue me at the time. I asked my brother to make statements from him. So these guys are incredible attorneys. I guess legally they're attorneys. And he's using them to maneuver some money, I guess, and that's what he's staying with, from my understanding. Again, he hides behind somebody as he usually does through his life.
Okay, good time to take a break. Let's take another commercial break here. We're with John Alite. The book is Darkest Hour, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. Check him out this Tuesday night, April 17th, 9 p.m. on the Reels channel. He's going to be talking about the life of Gravano and Gotti. Got a previous book called Gotti's Rules. And check out his website. The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find the link to Subash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also awakeradio.us.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99.
Hi, folks. Ronnie here from Life Change Tea. There's a lot of hubbub about the ramifications of GMOs. First of all, what are GMOs? Genetically modified organisms. Yee! Man-made organisms entering our body, changing and damaging us from the inside out. What's our defense? First of all, not eating them. Second, cleansing from them when we do eat them. Thank God for Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea cleanses from toxins, heavy metals, and helps flush GMOs out of your body. Our unique blend of herbs help cleanse you from the inside out, helping you feel refreshed and clean of yee. We also carry unique one-of-a-kind supplements. So order online at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Rid yourself of the yee that contaminates your food and water. Go to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Get the Tea, your best defense.
You can have your ad played here at OppermanReport.com. Every Friday night, 5 p.m., and Saturday night, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, And on Friday nights, too, we do a live portion for 1 hour that I just do a live monologue. The ads are very, very inexpensive, and they're also played in the Opperman Report member section. In the member section, you can find all kinds of exclusive content that you won't find anywhere else. It's as cheap as $6 a month, $20 a quarter, or $75 for a year. If you contact me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, I'll set you up with a little special deal there where you get a discount if you PayPal me directly, and you even get a copy of my book. I want to thank William Ramsey, who helps us produce the show and book guests. You can find William Ramsey, who's an excellent author, at William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing you narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow, shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here with John Alite. The book is Darkest Hour. John Alite, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. John, what can you tell us about the story of Tommy Uvo?
Uber and his wife were, he was a guy that earlier in life, I don't think people realize he had a drug issue, but early in life, his father was a hang-around guy that was abused by guys around the Gambino family. And I guess Tommy took it to heart for years. And when he had started robbing clubs that were in the neighborhood in Queens, and one of them was a location on Liberty Avenue. And I believe it's like 83rd Street on Liberty Avenue. And he was ordered to be killed, him and his wife. And he was later on found and killed in a car, him and his wife on Woodhaven Boulevard. Those orders were sent down from Gotti Jr. He was actually caught on tape talking about that we took care of that. And yet he wasn't charged for those murders. So this is some of the things that go back to whatever he did when he made his deal for cooperation. Why wasn't he charged for these murders? Why was he charged at this time for the Silver Fox murder? And so he was very questionable about what he made when he was meeting with the government on some of these things that he was never charged, and he kept his financial situation. So these are called into question. And there is no, I'm sorry, I had weak moments as far as the mob world is concerned, and this is the reason why they chased him and shelved him. So the accuracy of what the Ubers were doing were really just drug-ridden, and he had some animosity from the past because of the way they treated his father. He actually made one of the gangsters take their shoes off and give it to him and belittle him.
And all that stuff, but making them take their clothes off, that wasn't true?
Yeah, he did make some of them take their clothes off. He did that. I don't think he did that out of belittling them. I think the shoes thing was he liked the shoes and he wanted to show that these guys weren't tough guys like everybody thought. And I think the clothes was so they wouldn't chase after him. When he finished his robbery, so they couldn't get up and chase him. So I think that was more of a something that he did to secure him and his wife's safety. She was the driver.
Now they made a couple of movies about these two, right? Have you seen them?
Yeah.
Right now,
no, I never.
But it seems like the people who produced these movies had an agenda in order to kind of change the story. Are you familiar with that?
I never followed the movie, to be honest with you. I just knew Tommy as a younger guy, so I knew who Tommy was after this came out. I didn't know prior to who was doing these robberies, but later on I knew who he was. Okay, in the area because he wasn't a bad guy growing up as a kid.
They try and make it out that he's the one who trying to kill Slewa.
No, yeah, that's not.
Yeah, I know. You got to check out the movies. There's two of them.
The one guy got caught or was convicted of the Slewa was Mike, and he was from Brooklyn. And the other guy is Joey, who ended up cooperating, who dislikes Scotty tremendously. And he's been going on that thing. And Joey changed his life around. He's doing well for himself. And he's still on the right path. And it's to give a chance with some guys that really do the right thing after that. And he has And I don't know how Curtis feels about it, but he has a lot of regrets for that incident. So, in his heart, I know he feels bad for what happened. And on the other hand, I told you, Curtis really handled himself well for somebody who had been alone in a car with a guy with guns and a knife and, having weapons. So to even get out of that car the way he did when they had the door handles taken off through the window was amazing.
Yeah, imagine it's such close quarters. You know what I mean? You can't miss it. That kind of range.
Yeah.
Now, what happened to you, man? How did you get busted? The big bust where you finally had to cooperate and stuff? What happened?
Well, I think it was a multiple of things. Guys started coming in the Gambino family. They were cooperating, made guys, and I'm not sure how many of them attributed to the pressure that was being put on me. Mikey Scars, one of Gotti's main guys, he was a captain, and he started cooperating. Fat Don Borghese from Staten Island, he started cooperating. John Gotti Jr. himself was cooperating, and a slew of guys against me were cooperating. I mean, dozens. So I had a lot of pressure on me. We were going to hit Gotti Jr. in 95. Charles Cornelia spoke to me about his brothers asking if we would be involved and interested in would I take on the hit of Gotti Jr. They'll give me the guns, which he did, and we were going to hit him in about 96. I was going to hit Gotti Jr.'s Uncle Pete Gotti and Carmine DeMello. And they took a machine gun actually off of John Gotti Jr. himself, thinking that they were borrowing it for another reason, not to hit him. But during the trial, I brought this stuff up and I pointed at him, and I kind of said that, he's so dumb, he didn't even know he gave his own gun to me to kill him. So, had, worked together. I said it was a bad marriage, and he was officially my boss, but he had no control, and I had no respect for him. And in the early 90s, I guess, it started between me plotting to try to kill him. And in return, I don't think he had the ability, if somebody doesn't ask the important question to Gotti even now, who was your shooter? If it wasn't Alite, and they call me Alite in the neighborhood and Alite outside the neighborhood, if it wasn't Alite in the neighborhood, who was actually your shooter? Who's your guy? Where's your crew? He was really a crewless boss with no authority, no power. My guys, we brought him the power to that family. So these are questions that never really asked, and it gets lost in some of the stuff that went on over the years.
So, but what was it that made you decide to become cooperative? How many years were you facing? So
I was facing double life plus and possibly the death penalty. I left the country. I knew I had information that I was going to get hit with 2 different RICO racketeering cases. I left the country and I went to West Africa. I went to Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, all over Europe, Albania, my country, Italy, Greece, and I made the gamut of moves, and I ended up in Brazil, where Interpol arrested me, and I was fighting extradition. I was awaiting decisions from the courts. And in 2005, I was in touch with Joseph Carrazzo, the attorney, who informed me that Gotti Jr. was a rat. He was cooperating, and the Gambino family was aware of it, and to let me know where I stand at that point. And, from that point, from telephones and smuggled phones, I'm asking guys to eliminate Gotti Jr. Let's kill him, and my problems will go away. So I'm not sure where the initial hunt came from, to lack of words, from law enforcement to come get me. I'm not sure if it was Gotti himself that was feeding them information about me, or if it was other cooperators and informers. But at that time, I had a lot of pressure on me, and eventually I get extradited back to the United States, where they asked me to cooperate against the guy that was already a rat as far as the mob's concerned, Gotti Jr. And I jumped at the occasion, and people asked me, what made you come in? I says, well, I couldn't run fast enough to come in. I knew he had the ability to give me 1,000 years in literally Gotti Jr. And they couldn't consummate his deal of cooperation, just feeding information. And, this is conjecture whether he didn't want to get on the stand so people wouldn't know he was an informant. or whether he couldn't keep his money, or whether he was talking, Gotti Jr. was good about moving to Florida or North Carolina, and he was trying to maybe get in the witness protection program. I know Jeff Lippman is the one that walked him in during those. I know Lippman is involved with him now, talking about guys that cooperated. He's on television also with Gotti on some of the stuff. So I'm assuming they just couldn't consummate the deal because of the amount of years they were going to give him, and he ends up going to trial. And, for the people that don't understand, if he loses trial, he just walks through the back door like the boss of the Banana family did, Joe Messina, and continues his operation. But he tried to keep it from going public that he was cooperating. And the paperwork's out there, and the Daily News covered it, the Post, Jerry Capisci of Gangland. So it's no secret. And then Gotti himself panicked and did a YouTube saying that he cooperated and making excuses why, and I only cooperated against the people, my enemies, and some nonsense, but doesn't carry, obviously, with anybody from the street. So he was chased, and, he filed papers, his wife's in danger in 2006. So, the point of all of it really is back to the same thing. I knew where I stood. Too many guys were cooperating. Although I didn't respect Gotti, he was cooperating. Michael DiLeonardo, captain's cooperating. Sammy Gravano got put on a spot because of what Gotti Sr. did, so he was cooperating. And then I had dozens of guys around me that were cooperating, and I finally said, all right, it's time to come in, get my life back, and see if I can recover without doing a life sentence, which I'm here now and back moving in the right direction.
Wait, did Gotti Jr. do any time at all?
I believe he did like 4 or 5 years. He did something very minimal.
Okay.
On my case, I think on the one I did out of Brazil, I did a 10-year sentence here, and I did a 2.5-year sentence in Brazil. And prior to that, I was in here. I did a 4-year stint, and I did a couple months, 3 months on another stint, and then I did a violation of 3 months, another stint for 3 months. So I've been in and out for almost 2 decades of from the street to prisons.
What was the worst prison? How was the prisons in Brazil?
Brazil prisons are just a different world than United States prisons. You are infested with rats and mosquitoes, dengue, which is poison mosquitoes, and as if you're in a jungle. And you use the restrooms, the floor, a hole in the floor. It rains inside your cells. You have a 10-man cell, 12-man cell with 50, 60 guys in it. And you're basically rain, cold, sweat, everything in one cell through the years, and very violent. A lot of deaths a year, a lot of riots, weapons all over the prisons. It's just a completely different world than the United States prisons. Bug-infested food, rice and beans daily. And it's just a different world.
You must have been pretty happy to get out of there, huh?
Believe it or not, at the time, I'm fighting to stay because I know what I'm facing here.
Right.
I'm facing a life sentence and possibly worse. And by leaving the country, they couldn't get me back on the death penalty even if they tried. They wouldn't have been able to extradite me back.
Right. They had to drop the death penalty. Right, excellent. Okay, and how'd you get around? You had false passports?
Yeah, I ended up picking up 8 passports when they caught me in Interpol. And I was moving around from Cuba to, I had some friends, international connections, and in Colombia with the cartel that moved me into a Venezuelan army base. And
okay.
I picked up 6 passports in West Africa. I was there, and I had a lot of connections. I moved around about 20 countries, between Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, like I said, the other countries I mentioned earlier, Canary Islands. I had some good friends in other countries that were gangsters too that helped me, and it helped me move around for almost 2 years before I was captured.
And you had enough money? Your money didn't run out?
I was making, at that time, I sent $750,000 to one guy in Brazil who lied that I sent him the money, but we just put the documentations out in the internet. And he got friendly with the guy. He's another guy that was trying to propaganda that money wasn't sent, but we held the documents and showed the wire transfers, and the government's aware of it. And I brought about $60,000 in cash with me, and I sent. I opened up some bank accounts in Canada for Cuba, and then I sent money to cousins of mine in Albania that held money for me also, so I could move around. Okay. So I was already set up to move. I started setting that up since about 2002 when I was in prison. Right before I came home, I knew I was going to make the run.
Gotcha. Okay, let's take a little quick break, and then we're down to our last segment. I want to ask you about, because you said you're faith-based and what you've been doing since you're out, and all the trolling and stuff you're going through. I know you're upset about that. So we'll be talking about that when we get back. We're with John Alite. Fascinating story. Any talk about doing a movie about you?
Yeah, they've been in negotiations with me on and off for a couple of years. It's been very active right now. We're in the middle of talking and under contract again. So there's not much I could say about it, but yeah, they're in for development of a major motion picture. I have a movie out in a series called The Perfect Gangster in Europe now, one developed in Italy now at the same time that's airing shortly. So I have a lot of stuff. I'm pretty active now in this industry.
Okay, great. John, Darkest Hour, John Alite, former Mafia enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. on the Reels channel. And now a word from our sponsors.
We all have questions. Did he do it or did he not? We all have opinions, but do we really know the truth? New evidence will now be presented and the ultimate answers will be revealed in the explosive documentary, Serpents Rising. Inspired by the bestseller Double Cross for Blood, an independent investigation of the trial of the century, the lies, the myths, and the concealed evidence. Don't miss Serpents Rising.
This excellent documentary film is available at Serpents Rising at Vimeo Videos on demand. Watch it for $1.99. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com.
WPR Rebuttal, covering the sides of the story missed by Wisconsin Public Radio, bringing narratives the UW System Board of Regents won't allow, shedding light on perspectives the owners of WPR don't want you to hear. Every Thursday at 12:30 Central Time, WPR Rebuttal is your destination for grassroots journalism in Sauk County and beyond. Our host, Senator JPO, provides insightful analysis into stories that are only superficially covered by mainstream press. A recent inventory of topics includes college graduate underemployment, yellow journalism in the media, and favoritism in the public sector hiring process. Get your WPR Rebuttal fix Thursdays at 12:30 Central Time.
Subhash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company located in India. So you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service to boot. They offer all kinds of services, business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshore research networking, customer care, press release content writing and distribution, and much, much more. They offer website development, e-commerce solutions, mobile responsive designs. Now, I've personally worked with Subhash for over 10 years. This is the man that puts out my press releases. They've done work on my websites, so I can personally recommend SubhashTechnosis.com. You can find the link to Subhash Technosis at OppermanReport.com and also awakeradio.us.
People are waking up. They're standing up to those pushing pesticides and GMOs as safe alternatives for a starving world. What a bunch of crap! I tell you, I'd rather eat dirt. So I drink Life Change Tea. It's an herbal drink, cleansing my body of toxic sludge and nasty chemicals, and of course, ridding the intruders that are hidden in my so-called food. And by the way, Life Change Tea is non-GMO and organic. No fillers, no yuck. Just a great defense against you-know-what. May the supplement force awaken you. Don't fall to the dark side. Oh, Sorry, I went to the movies last night. Anyway, enough said. How do you get that herbal drink and change your life? GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You will awaken. You will get stronger, and you might even lose a bit of weight. So awaken to Life Change Tea and the many one-of-a-kind supplements at GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. May the supplement force be with you.
Welcome back to the Opperman Report. We're here with John Alite. Check out www.johnalitedarkesthour.com. You can get a hold of his book, John Alite, Former Mafia Enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino crime family. John, you mentioned at the very beginning that your mission right now is faith-based. Did you become like born again in prison or when you got out or something?
No, you know what? I didn't mention it. I talk about this a lot. I have an Italy publicist that you know of, Amanda.
Yeah.
And she's helped me recently in the right direction with some of these projects and talks I'm doing. A good friend of mine, Jason David Frank, who's the Green Ranger, and he's in the middle of a new movie. And some of these people that I'm involved with, we have these talks about God and me being alive and the attempts on my life and how I live. So to answer your question, I've always believed in God. I just thought it was a weakness when I was in prisons to reach out. But at this point, when I've changed my life and I'm home, you know, I came to realize when I go to church or when I go to confession and I sit back and when I just sit in church once in a while now and I just think and I go there and I said, you know what? I need to realize I'm alive for a reason. There's got to be a message and some of this negative stuff I lived and bring it forward and pay it forward in a good way and help some kids survive. And I think that God's allowed me to live and survive through what I've survived to help some kids. And I'm not, a crazy, overly born again guy that says, well, and I don't blame the whole church for what happened with me with the priest. I believe in that individual people that were behind covering it up from the diocese. But I still look at God with faith and say that I'm happy and lucky to have my life still. And I want to be a positive influence and not be known for all this negative that I've caused and havoc. And guys like people that were my friends that became my enemies, like Michael Stratton and a guy like Richie Langston, who was a good friend of mine, and the Got Her Up family. Some of them are my friends since we're kids, and they become Michael Stratton and his family became almost enemies of mine, where there was killings involved, back and forth, and shootings. And believe it or not, they're the ones that came forward and helped me to change my life and help me survive and help me move forward and do the right thing. And I owe them. And for them to have it in their heart to come forward and help me after what I did and what I was involved in, took part of people in their family losing their life, I have to say that God has a hand here somewhere. And it made me really think and say, you know what, I promised that family, I promised Bruce Gotterup's daughter I would come forward and try to help some kids. I promised the brother Frankie, and I've been true to my word, and I've contacted victims and their families. Some won't talk to me, some do. And I just try to live it a positive way and a positive message. And I owe a lot of thanks to them and to God for giving me the ability and the strength to do that.
So it seems like since you've been out, you're still kind of in touch with people, Gravano, in touch with these old guys, your old friends and stuff like that. But now on the Gotti side, it's really only the Gotti family you have a problem with? Like, because I know you're saying you're having problems with trolls. Now, is this the Gotti family or fans of the Gotti family?
No, it's the Gotti family itself. For some reason, they've switched the storyline to almost blame me for what happened to Gotti. I just don't understand in their mindset how they justify that. The guy 5 years or 6 years earlier was meeting with the government, was an informant. I didn't chase him out of the mob. He was chased out of the mob and shelved by the rest of the Gambino family and the rest of the other families. So what they're so intent on blaming me for what he did, I'm not sure. I just don't get that. But what they're doing is they're on sites. They made a website with my name, a fax site, that they changed the facts, obviously. And I really don't pay attention to it. They hire guys like this kid, Chris George, who goes under the name Casparosa, and he stalks me, criminally stalks me, hounds me, hounds my family, follows us around. They have fake accounts. The sister, Angel Gotti, same basis. And their nonstop attack anybody in the media that's involved in any kind of show with me.
Great, thanks.
Friends with me. And they're relentless for years now. So it's gotten to the point where Gotti Jr. hires attorneys to get people to write fake things about me. They filed papers that I'm going to kill him, and that they have proof from different individuals that they'll pay to come forward and say this. So it's just out of control. And I guess he's just, like I say, intimidated from me with the aspect of his personality. That, somebody asked me, well, does mentioning his name sell any books for you? And I laughed. I said, he can't sell his own books. Why would I? He seems to attach himself to me. He even took my domains, my name, and he owns them. So when I tell him he goes on them, he advertises his book to my name and my domains. So it's to the point where it's so obsessive that I spoke to law enforcement because I don't want to do what I used to do and be aggressive. So I spoke to law enforcement about it. I spoke to different people that can probably help me with this in the future. And I need to somehow legally put a stop to what he's doing. And his job and his family's job is they say that they're going to harass me for the rest of my life, not to allow me to live. And, it's not to that point. I laugh at it really more than anything. And I just think it's almost so childish. And I've said it over, you're supposed to be somewhat of a street guy at one time. This behavior is like from a Girl Scout, from a little girl that would do this. And he allows it. He has his family doing it. And they're under, numerous fake accounts. And he just, this behavior is just crazy. And you understand what it did make me do is open my eyes, because I really understand the internet and the computer being gone and being from my era of what kids can go through in junior high school level when other kids are bothering them. It's not like in our day, we go to school, you go home, whether you get along with somebody or not, it's the end of the school day. Now, these kids can hound the kid day and night, kind of what the guys are doing to me. And when somebody's a little weaker, some of these kids are taking their lives. So it's serious what Gotti's doing, because he's showing kids that want to bother other kids, this is how you do it. And this is the behavior of a grown adult. Look what you can do. And his message to his nephew was, it's okay, sell drugs. The rest of our family sold drugs. My Uncle Genie's selling drugs, meeting Gotti's uncle. His Uncle Vinny sold drugs. Every guy around his father was selling drugs, yet he says his father was naive and didn't know about it. Well, then I guess you're the dumbest boss in the history of the mob. So, they insult people's intelligence, but the more than insults people's intelligence at this point is, this kid's out here seeing this. What are you doing? This is what kind of behavior is this? And really the message is that. I mean, almost embarrassing, but he won't stop anyway.
And they've tried to get your parole violated?
Yeah, they contacted my parole officer, who ignored them. Then they contacted her boss, who ignored them. They contacted Washington, D.C., the FBI, wrote letters to my sentencing judge, had people on their behalf, Gotti's lawyer, Peter Lanster wrote the incept of his book, his sister, they all wrote that I'm a serial killer and that Gotti's life is in danger, Junior, from me, and that I would kill him. And the government is warned, and we have information. They asked to pay my brother to say that he heard me say I was going to kill him. So he's went to all extreme. He hired his lawyer, Elio Facina, to drive 4 hours out to Long Island, from Long Island to South Jersey to see my brother with Gotti in the car, to hire the lawyer to sue me, to make these statements, which my brother refused. They hired the lawyer for Jeff Lohman, who's suing me currently, who also wrote these statements. He filed papers, the lawyer, on his website, calling me a rat and a most wanted picture. His other attorney, Tony, that he's partners with in a pizzeria in Queens, also posted that on his website. He's supposed to be educated attorneys, passed the law bar, yet they're doing these things. That same attorney's doing a radio show, a podcast, which the guy's not licensed. Jeff Roman, the one suing me, made false accusations. Someone shot at him in Brooklyn. Police reports show that no incident ever occurred. No gunshot calls were called in. I mean, they're just abusing the system, and Gotti's the puppet master through all this with all of them. He's paying the bill for all of them. This guy, Chris George, his father, I heard, is a congressman, actually. I don't know how accurate that is. We're looking into it now. His mother is an attorney. So the behavior in his family allowing this is also in question. How can they allow a grown man to behave this way? Although he acts like a child himself, and I guess he's under the spell of Gotti. He's a guy that doesn't work, and this is what he does for a day and night. He trolls on Facebook and attacks anybody that speaks to me, either whether it's business, whether it's future engagements to talk at schools, at police precincts, or on radio or TV shows. So I'm not sure at this point how to handle it any further than embarrass them in public.
Well, in the old days, informants or people informed against the mafia, they would get killed, right? So at least this isn't, you're not worried about that, right?
No, the thing is, and that's the message. Gotti was an informer. Mm. Gotti was a cooperator. Gotti admitted himself. So what are you mad at? You were in 5 and 6 years earlier. The headlines of the New York Post, Daily News, and Jerry Capisci's gangland was Gotti's singing to the feds. Gotti's a rat. And he was in a rat outfit on the headlines of the papers. His own lawyers filed papers, like I said earlier, that his life was in danger for him being a cooperator. Mm. And those papers were filed 2006. I'm not around for any of this. I'm in a penitentiary in Brazil. So how do they somehow, I think what they're doing is just trying to take the pressure off of him and put it somewhere. They don't know where to put it. Gotcha. And the belief of, well, he was only with the Gotti family from 82 to 92 from what the new rhetoric is, and my answer is, well, if that was true, what am I living with your uncle in 1997 in prison? You're a mob boss in 91, whether you're a respected boss or not. You're in pictures with me having a going away party for me. You're at my house 4 hours away in South Jersey. So through the reign of the Gotti family, I'm there through everything. And after that, we had a bad marriage. Like I say, I'm trying to kill him. He dislikes me, just doesn't have the ability to kill me.
And today, you're not concerned about anybody trying to kill you today?
Nah, I say it all the time, especially not the Gotti family. Okay. They're completely useless. They're not gangsters. That name is false. And so there are tough guys out there. That name ain't one of them.
John, we're out of time, but I can't thank you enough because, originally we were going to do an hour, and I stopped bugging everybody to give me more time. Thank you so much. Is there any questions I didn't ask that important you want to tell me?
No, I appreciate the time on the show and some of the stuff that I'm involved with. And I appreciate, I want to say a shout out to Lou Gregorio. He's an FBI agent and some of the people that helped me through some of the things that were going on in my life to move my life forward. And my lawyer, Tim Fitzgerald, out of Tampa, Florida, has been a great attorney. And I'm just happy to be here moving my life forward in the right direction for kids and for the future, really. And so I really thank you for having me here and my publicist, Amanda.
Thank you, John. John Alite, darkesthour.com. You get a hold of his book, Former Mafia Enforcer for John Gotti and the Gambino Crime Family. Thank you so much, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ed. Okay.
Bye. All right. Well, there you go. That was a good show, right? I enjoyed that. What do you call it? If you enjoyed the show, though, check out the members section at oppermanreport.com. Constantly uploading new content to oppermanreport.com, and you can become a member for as little as $6 a month or $75 for the year, $20 for 3 months. Or if you want to get a special discount, you contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com, and I'll give you 13 months for $60 because we need cash to raise cash, to keep the show on the air. We're getting to that time of the month again. We just had that time of the month crisis. But we have to come to the time of the month again where the Spreaker bill comes in, the Skype bill comes in, the internet, Cox cable, $150 a month comes in, $200 a month comes in, all this stuff. So if you want to become a member, this is the time to do it. Help support the show. I can't thank you enough for all the donations last month that helped us over those rough spots. And if you want to sponsor the show, you want ad played here 6 days a week on KYAH 540 AM in Utah drive time, morning drive time. Once they're locked in that car, they got to listen to the show. iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Podbean, Podcast, YouTube, all that stuff played everywhere, all over the place. You can't miss the show. 10 different internet stations, People's Internet Radio, a public streaming network, awakeradio.us, IPM Nation, and now on Ocelli.com, on Chuck Ocelli put us on his station. So you can't, it's rock bottom prices to advertise on the show, and that's how you help support the show. Also become a member, oppermanreport.com. or contact me for a discount, oppermanreport@gmail.com. Thank you so much, John Alite. I'm looking forward to being stalked by all these characters here. He got me hooked up with www.alitedarkesthour.com. That's ALITE. We'll have his book in the Opperman Report book store on our website.